Next presentation here is going to be from Dr. Avinash Singh from the University of Wroclaw, who will be discussing the synthesis of defined homogeneous site-specific ubiquitin conjugates by chemoenzymatic sortase-mediated ligand strategy. That's great. We can see your screen.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're great. Go ahead when you feel ready.
Thank you. Thank you. So I am Avinash. I'm from Wroclaw University, and I'll be talking about synthesis of some homogeneous and site-specific ubiquitin conjugates by chemoenzymatic strategy using sortase enzymes. So first I'll talk about sortase and ubiquitin. So sortase, So sortase is a class of cysteine transpeptidase enzymes which are membrane associated, and they are found in almost all gram-positive bacteria. And few reports also predict their presence in gram-negative bacteria. So what is the function of these sortase enzymes? They recognize certain proteins and they covalently attach them on the bacterial cell wall. Now, these proteins which act as a sorted substrate have some characteristics. So they have a N-terminus signal peptide followed by a cell wall sorting signal. Now this cell wall sorting signal consists of a pentapeptide motif which is recognized by sortases. So it is usually LPXTG motif. And then there is a hydrophobic domain which is used for for the incorporation of that protein in cell membrane, and followed by a cytoplasmic positively charged tail. Now, this sortase recognizes this LPXTG motif and clips the peptide bond between threonine and glycine. And in further few more steps, it attaches this protein on the bacterial cell wall. Most of the proteins which act as a sortase substrate are pathogenic proteins, and there are reports which have shown that the knockdown or down regulation of this sortase in bacterial species decreases their pathogenicity. Now, there is a conserved catalytic motif present in sortages which contains a cysteine, and it is usually TLX-TC motif, where this cysteine is your catalytic cysteine. And the first sortase to be discovered was sortase A from Staphylococcus aureus, and it recognizes this LPXTG motif. It is the most studied sortase. Now, since its discovery, there are a lot of sortages which have been discovered and characterized, and based on the recognition sequence and their amino acid sequence, they have been classified into 6 classes. Class A and Class B are considered to be housekeeping sortages because they perform many functions, and they can recognize a different set of recognition proteins, different set of substrates, while all other sortages are specific for certain functions. Now, regarding ubiquitin, so ubiquitin, one of the most highly conserved proteins or peptides in eukaryotes. It is a 76 amino acid polypeptide having a molecular mass of around 8.6 kDa. So here in this multiple sequence alignment, you can see the ubiquitin sequences from different organisms, and the difference between ubiquitins of Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens and yeast is only they are different. They are different from each other in only 3 residues. So you can think about the conserved nature of this protein. Now, the process by which this ubiquitin is attached to any substrate, to the epsilon amine of the lysine group of any substrate, is this process is called ubiquitination, and it is done by the sequential step of sequential activity of certain enzymes, which are E1, which is your activation enzyme, E2, conjugating enzyme, and E3 is your ubiquitin specific ligase, which finally attaches this ubiquitin to the substrate lysine. And after the attachment of this ubiquitin on the substrate protein, they undergo different sort of functions. It could be transcriptional, it could be protein trafficking, and degradation as well. So this ubiquitin machinery is a very complex machinery. So the enzymes which perform this ubiquitination, E1, E2, and E3, they are very specific, and there are a lot of E1, E2, and E3 enzymes present in every system, and they are very specific about which what is the future function of that protein, and at which position the ubiquitin is being attached. So all these enzymes are very specific, and it is a very regulated process also. Now, these are the different uh, types of ubiquitination, mono and polyubiquitinations, and the function or the ultimate destination of these ubiquitinated proteins. So they can be used in trafficking, endocytosis, proteasome degradation, kinase activation, and DNA repair. Now, because of this complexity, and these are certain substrates which are some of the substrate of ubiquitin proteins on which ubiquitin is attached. So you can see these four residues, L, K, S, E. So this is a conserved motif which is recognized for ubiquitination. And a similar conserved motif is recognized for simulation also. Now, the ubiquitin is attached to the lysine, this lysine, the epsilon amino of this lysine. So we will be working on this P53. Now, so we will look at the ubiquitination of this P53 molecule inside a cell. So this is your ubiquitin having a beta grasp fold and a C-term conserved motif which is unstructured, and these 5-6 residues are very dynamic of the ubiquitin, and this is your recognition motif of P53. So by the action of this E1, E2, E3, certain deubiquitinating enzymes and presence of ATP is required for attachment of this ubiquitin moiety to the P53 recognition motif. Now, so how to achieve this ubiquitination of P53 molecule or any other substrate in a single or more similar facts, more simpler strategy, which can be achieved in vitro. Now, so this is our simple strategy. So this is your C-term unstructured motif of ubiquitin. Now, by site-directed mutagenesis, we can engineer a shortage recognition motif. Now, since this motif is unstructured, this is dynamic, this will be accessible for any protease like shortage. So by site-directed mutagenesis, we can engineer this recognition motif, and then by the action of shortage in the presence of this substrate molecule, we can attach this ubiquitin and get this ubiquitinated conjugate of the substrate. Now, so this is the strategy after generating this site-directed mutagenesis or engineered ubiquitins in the presence of shortage and this peptide synthesized by solid phase peptide synthesis, we can get this ubiquitinated constructs and then further check the deubiquitination propensity of these ubiquitin constructs generated using shortage. So for this, we first generated the different modified versions of shortage, modified version of ubiquitin. So first we engineered this shortage recognition motif by 2-point mutation by mutating these two arginines. But in initial activity analysis, we found that these substrates are not being recognized by shortages. Mostly because the first leucine of this recognition motif is involved in the beta grasp fold of C-terminus of ubiquitin. So to further check or to further modify our strategy, we generated this recognition motif by substitution and insertion of 3 residues at the place of this arginine 74, and we purified these mutant ubiquitins or these engineered ubiquitins, and the SDS page of purification shows the homogeneous purification and homogeneous expression of these proteins. Now, we generated or we synthesized this p53 recognition site by solid phase peptide synthesis, and we attached a diglycine isopeptide link appendage on this lysine residue to the epsilon amine of this lysine residue. Now, to generate this isopeptide linkage, after generation of this linear peptide, the orthogonal protection group of epsilon amine was removed by hydrogen, and then this diglycine was attached to the linear peptide. Now, after that, we tried to check the recognition of our ubiquitin, engineered ubiquitin, by shortages, and for this we used the simplest nucleophile, simplest second substrate which shortage recognizes, and that is G3KY, and analyzed the reactions on HPLC, and we found that two of the three engineered ubiquitins having LPNTG and LPETG recognition motif were recognized by shortages, and this G3KY was attached to this engineered ubiquitin, and we can see the product. The identity of these products and all these peaks were confirmed by mass spec. But for this LPLTG motif containing ubiquitin, it was not recognized by a shortage. So for our further studies, we used these two variants of ubiquitin, and then we checked the transpeptidation reaction between ubiquitin and diglycine appended p53 motif. And as expected, the product peak was observed, which was around more than 90% yield of the product, and the identity of these constructs, ubiquitin constructs, were checked by mass spec or confirmed by mass spec. And after that, we did the de-ubiquitination analysis of these constructs which were generated. And for that, we treated these constructs, ubiquitin conjugates, with certain, to be specific, two de-ubiquitinating enzymes. First was USP5 and second was UCHL3. These both of these are ubiquitin specific proteases which remove ubiquitins from their substrates. But we found that both these conjugates which were generated using shortage were recalcitrant to hydrolysis by these de-ubiquitinating enzymes, and hence we found that the conjugates which we have generated are resistant to de-ubiquitination by these de-ubiquitinating enzymes. So with this, I'll move to the conclusion. So we generated three different variants of ubiquitin by site-directed mutagenesis, and these variants were recognized as a shortage substrate and were conjugated with aminoglycine-based nucleophile. Now, we also generated this p53 ubiquitin recognition motif appended with a diglycine by solid phase peptide synthesis, and then this p53 ubiquitin recognition site was conjugated with ubiquitin in presence of SRS shortage A as well as S-aromatase shortage E, for the data for which I didn't show here. But yeah, we also did this for the S-aromatase shortage E, class E shortage. Now, the conjugates which were generated using shortage-mediated ligation were recalcitrant to hydrolysis by de-ubiquitinating enzymes. Yeah, with this, I'll thank you, and I'm open for some questions.
Amazing, thanks so much. That was such a great presentation. I will wait for any questions that come in through the Q&A, but that was great. Oh, there is one question right here. What is the importance of conserved ubiquitin sequence in sortase-mediated ligation strategy?
Okay, so you mean the conserved ubiquitin sequence at C-terminus? Yeah.
The conserved sequence, yeah.
Yeah, at the C-terminus, the conserved sequence, which is unstructured, and it is almost same in all the ubiquitins across different organisms. So, as you know that ubiquitin is the first ubiquitin which is attached to any substrate is through the glycine, the last glycine, 76th glycine of that ubiquitin is attached to any epsilon amine of lysine of the substrate. And after that, whatever ubiquitin extra is attached to that substrate is to any of the 7 lysines which are already present in your ubiquitin. So, so you have this GG at the very C terminus of your ubiquitin and LR. So this with only 2 mutations, you can generate a shortage recognition motif, which is very rare in some proteins. But in ubiquitin case, you have this advantage, and that's why this conserved region. And since this conserved region is same in across all the organisms or most of the organisms, so it is very important for the shortage mediated ligation strategy, and it makes our work very easy.
Amazing. That's great. Thanks very much. If any other questions come in through the Q&A, you'll be able to monitor those as well. So just one.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, I had just one quick question, if I can ask.
Yeah.
I mean, using this sortase mediated technology, it's quite exciting, and your chemistry is very impressive. I'm just wondering, with the P53, the ubiquitin P53 conjugates, then, you know, what's the goal to do with these? I mean, what's your next steps?
This ubiquitination machinery, or the whole process of attaching ubiquitin to any substrate protein, it requires very different sort of enzymes which are very specific, and the process is very technical or very cumbersome. So to analyze this process, or to achieve this process in vitro, for synthesizing different site-specific or homogeneous different specific ubiquitin conjugates for their study, it is not easy because of the presence of this highly specific and this complex ubiquitin machinery. So we need an in vitro approach where in a very few steps, either 1 or 2 steps, we can generate some site-specific and homogeneous ubiquitin constructs, which could be used for the analysis of different cellular functions. That's what we aim for.
Amazing. That's great. Thanks very much.
I have a couple of questions, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Singh. I really much appreciated your presentation. I love the whole idea of a targeted degradation approach for different proteins. I'm curious, though, about this kind of technology in the context of a therapy, for example. So piggybacking on what Eleanor said, if you want to target a specific protein in a cell and then use that cell for a therapy, because sortase is derived from bacteria, do you envision some kind of immunogenicity with this approach?
Sorry, could...
So using the sortase enzyme to chemically link ubiquitin to the substrate, do you envision some kind of an immune response to those cells now that you use this bacteria element to do that?
Yes. If you are using this sortase, because since sortase is not an it is a bacterial enzyme. So whenever you are incorporating or giving any bacterial enzyme to any other organism, suppose humans, then it will generate certain immunogenic response. But in humans also, we have seen some homologous proteins which are not characterized, but there are some homologous proteins for sortases, but they are not characterized. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. And I think, Robin, we spoke about that I'm going to introduce just some new initiatives that we're doing as BSI, if you don't mind, if we have some time.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you again, Dr. Singh. That was a really great talk.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Singh.
Thank you.